Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day. And today, the Houston Astros will play the Texas Rangers for game 112, starting off a new series against the Rangers. This will be the last series against the Texas Rangers this season. Going into this series, the Astros are 5-5 against the Rangers. So whoever wins this series will be very important for either team because, whoever wins this series does hold a tiebreaker. Right now, the Astros do have a 4.5 lead against the Rangers for second place in the division. But look, I'm not saying the Astros are going to go out there and get swept or lose this series. But let's just say if you get swept by this Texas Rangers team, then it goes from being 4.5 games back to 1.5 games back. And then, it would go to 3.5 games back if you lose the series 2-1. So this is a big series for the Astros because if you lose the series or if you get swept, which I'm not saying they will get swept or lose a series, but if that happens, then the Rangers are catching close to you. Whether it's 1.5 games back or it's 2.5. But for the Astros, if you win this series or you get a sweep, then you build more of a lead on the Rangers, and you have a tiebreaker if they make more of a move. But this is a great chance for the Astros to build a huge lead for second place against the Texas Rangers and potentially even go up to first. Because if the Astros have a good series against the Rangers and maybe the Mariners drop 1 or 2, the Astros could, potentially go back to first because they're only 1 game back from leading in the division right now. But let's go over this game that the Astros are playing today against the Rangers to start off the series. I'm feeling really confident after 2 bad games to end off that Rays series that the Astros will fix things around going into the start of this series. And one of the reasons why I like things going into this series is, the pitching matchup. And that's Hunter Brown versus Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney's been terrible since the All-Star break in his last 2 starts with a 6.36 ERA. Hunter Brown's been terrific this season. His ERA in his last 15 games and 14 starts is 2.62. So he's been absolutely terrific. His last outing wasn't great going up against the Pirates, but I see a bounce back for Hunter today. He's a guy who's put up some good numbers against the Rangers. His last start against the Rangers in Houston was pretty good. He went 6 innings, and I think he only gave up 1 or 2 runs in those. I don't think he gave up a run. I think the Astros in that game, they either shut out the Rangers or they won 4-1 or 4-2 or something like that. He might have given up 1 run against the Rangers in his last start against them in Houston. Now, he did have another outing against them this year that was in Arlington, and he really struggled. But that was the earlier season Hunter Brown that was really, really bad. And he gave up 5 runs in Texas. But that's a different Hunter Brown. I call this Hunter Brown reborn. Hunter Brown reborn. But I'm excited to see the pitching matchup because Hunter Brown's been pitching good. Yes, his last outing was a little bit rough, but Andrew Heaney's been pitching even worse, and things have been rough for him. And he has put up some bad numbers against the Astros in his career. If you look at it, the Astros did some good things against him when facing him earlier in the season in a 4-game series against the Rangers in Arlington. They have had some success against him elsewhere. They have an ERA. He has an ERA of 3.9 when facing the Astros, and that is in 18 games and 13 or 14 starts. Because has he been with the Rangers for a year or 2 now, but he's also spent a lot of time with the Los Angeles Angels, so that's where he has played the Astros so much, playing with the Angels, playing with the Rangers. So I'm excited to see how this Astros lineup does against him because, a lot of guys in this lineup have had success against him, but mostly Jose Altuve. And that's going to be my first prediction for this game, is that we see Jose Altuve, who's been struggling in the last week or 2, have a great game. Jose Altuve in his career against Andrew Heaney is 13 for 44 with 2 home runs and 3 doubles and a batting average of .295. We call Jose Altuve the Yankee killer. We call him the Ranger killer. I even called him the Tampa Bay Ray killer, which I don't think I'm ever going to call him that again because he sucked in this past series against the Rays. But I had a good reason to call him the Tampa Bay Ray killer because going into that series, he had a batting average of 294 against them, and he had 9 more hits than games played against the Tampa Bay Rays. So Altuve has been a dominator against the Tampa Rays before this past series. Still has some great numbers, even though he went like 1 for 9 in that series. But I think Altuve, not only going up against a team that he's had a lot of success in, but going against a pitcher he's had a lot of success in. I know these aren't the numbers I mentioned, 13 for 44 with 2 home runs and also 3 doubles. It's not numbers like Jose Altuve has had against another Rangers starter, a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, who will not pitch in this series, just pitched yesterday. But he's put up some good numbers against Andrew Heaney with a batting average of near 300, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 13 for 44. So I'm excited to see what Altuve can do against Andrew Heaney in this game. That is one of my predictions, that Jose Altuve will have a good game. Let's go over the lineup for the Astros. At leadoff will be the Andrew Heaney killer. I'm not calling him the Ranger killer. I'm calling him the Andrew Heaney killer tonight. Jose Altuve at leadoff. Then Alex Bregman at third base at the 2 spot. Look, I know Bregman's been struggling. I want to see Bregman out of the 2 spot. I know that people have been saying, why doesn't Joe Espada move Bregman out of the 2 spot? Here's the only thing. Who are you going to move Bregman out of the... Who's going to come in to the 2 spot for Bregman? I would say Jeremy Pena, if he wasn't having the struggles what we saw at the end of the Tampa Bay Rays series, striking out every at-bat and swinging at every terrible pitch. I think Pena would be an option if he didn't have the series we just saw. Yander Diaz has been very excellent at the cleanup spot. I think the Astros would be stupid to put him at the 2 spot. I like what I've seen from Yordan Alvarez at the 3. He's 6 for 18. He's not hitting bombs, but he's 6 for 18 in his last 18 at-bats. I wouldn't see a reason for him to move out of the 3 spot. If Kyle Tucker was healthy, for sure you could make the argument, yeah, let's have Kyle Tucker at the 2 spot, and then Bregman slides down to the 5 spot, which was probably where he would go right now if we saw Kyle Tucker healthy, but he's not. So with no Kyle Tucker, Yander Diaz is doing great at the cleanup. Yordan Alvarez is doing pretty solid at the 3, and really nobody else. Like Jeremy Pena would have been an option if you don't want that. You don't want him, right there when he's struggling like that. So with Pena struggling, Yander Diaz doing great at the cleanup, Yordan doing good at 3, and Kyle Tucker injured, who else can the Astros put at 2? Your other options are not good enough, if you ask me. I mean, you might as well just have Bregman at 2. But Bregman's going to be at the 2 spot playing third base. Then at 3 is DH Yordan Alvarez. I believe this is the second straight game where he's DHing. At 4 is catcher Yander Diaz. At 5 is shortstop Jeremy Pena. At 6 is center fielder Jake Myers after getting the day off yesterday. Like I mentioned before, Jake Myers needed a day off bad. He hasn't had a day off on a game day in months. The only days off he's had in the last month and a half, maybe 2 months. I'd say 2 months is maybe a little bit too far down the road, but about a month and a half, maybe almost 2 months, maybe going back to mid-June, end of June. Jake Myers, the only off days he has had have been, scheduled off days for the team or the All-Star break. So I think he needed that day off yesterday, and he got it. And I'm excited to see what he does in this game tonight because I really believe he needed that day off. And then at 7, we will see Chas McCormick in left field. I mean, look, I know Chas is struggling, but I don't mind it, and I'm going to go over why I don't mind it. Because at 8, we have Mauricio Dubon playing first base. I know Chas is struggling, but I think the Astros really needed to give John Singleton a day off. Struggled yesterday with 3 strikeouts. The Astros have been talking about they need to get him some help, like bringing someone up, calling someone up so they could, give him some rest, and he needs that. I don't think they're really thinking about calling anybody up right now. Maybe that could happen in the future, but I don't think that was going to be something they did in this series. So needed to give John Singleton a day off. Really, only other options at first base. because we haven't seen Victor Caratini or Yanner Diaz at first base. Though either one of those guys could be options at first base. I just don't. We haven't seen the Astros do that this year. But that would be a great option. I'd love to see the Astros do that, where they put maybe Victor Caratini at catcher and Yanner Diaz at first base. And then the next game you see at catcher Yanner Diaz and first base Victor Caratini if John Singleton continues to struggle potentially. But the other option outside of Caratini and Yanner Diaz, the next best option at first base would be Mauricio Dubon, unless you're going to start playing Aledmys Diaz. And I think in a big series like that, I don't think you can afford to put Aledmys Diaz in the lineup. And then at 9, playing right field, we got Pedro Leon. I'm fine with that. I liked what I've seen in the first 2 games from him. He's 1 for 5 in his first 2 games in the major leagues. Has made some nice contact. His first 2 at-bats on Saturday were the hardest hit balls of the game for the Astros. And then yesterday's game, he did go 0 for 2, but he had a walk in his first stolen base of his career. So far he has shown a little bit of a good eye. And also, if he can get on base, whether it's with a single or a walk, or maybe he gets on base because of an error, he's a great option for the Astros to have as a guy who could potentially steal. And the reason I love having Pedro Leon at the 9 spot right before Jose Altuve is if there's no runners on and Pedro Leon, the 9 hitter, gets on base, and then we see Jose Altuve, let's say he gets a walk or he gets a single, that gives Jose Altuve an RBI opportunity. If a guy like Pedro Leon goes for a steal opportunity, then Jose potentially has an RBI right there. But I'm excited for this game. I'm going to predict the Astros win because I like the pitching matchup for the Astros in this game. And I know the Astros have put up some good numbers in Arlington offensively, and especially against the pitcher on the mound, Andrew Heaney. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out. Go Astros.